Lesson 7. Decision Making in QBasic. Introduction. The basis of almost all programming languages is QBasic because it contains familiar commands that the others do. So, once you master QBasic, you will soon find other languages much easier. You might already have QBasic on your computer, but if you don't, just run a search on the web for QBasic and you will be sure to find it free. QBasic is a high-level programming language. It works in an integrated development environment (IDE). QBasic window is used to write the QBasic programs. Decision-making statements. Decision-making is critical to computer programming. There will be many situations when you will be given 2 or more options and you will have to select an option based on the given conditions. 3 commands are used in QBasic to allow the computer to make these decisions. If-then statement, if-then-else statement, go-to statement. If-then. Programs make decisions all the time, often thousands of times a second. Most complex programs store hundreds of variables and used them to make many different decisions. It is a one-way decision-making statement that checks a condition and executes the statement after then if the result of the condition is true. Syntax. If expression, then statements. Example 1. Program that will ask the user for his score in math and say whether he passed the test. The passing mark is 41. CLS. Print. Enter your score in maths. Input score. If score is less than 41, then print you have passed the test. And if. If then else. The double decision structure. It is a two-way decision-making statement. It is used to decide the result when the condition is true or false. The if section contains the condition to be checked. The then section contains the statements to be executed if the condition is true. The else section contains the statements to be executed if the condition is false. Syntax. If condition 1, then list of instructions to be executed if condition 1 is met. Else. List of instructions to be executed if condition 1 is not met. And if. Example 2. You can use the else statement to give a message when a condition is not met. Here's an illustration of example 1. CLS. Print. Enter your score in maths. Input score. If score is greater than is equal to 40, then print you have passed the test. Else print you have failed the test. And if. Go-to statement. The go-to statement branches to a specific line number or to the first statement after a specified label. When the computer reads the go-to statement, it transfers the control to that particular line number. The other lines are ignored. Syntax. Go-to, line number. Example 3. In the example below, the go-to statement branches to the instruction after the label 1, label until the value of variable x is equal to 5. Dim x as integer. X is equal to 0. Label 1. X is equal to x plus 1. Print x. If x is less than 5, then go to label 1. And if. Looping statements. To make interesting and efficient programs, you can make QBasic to execute a part of a program more than once. This is called looping, when QBasic goes through a part of a program over and over again. This can be done with the go-to command, but in QBasic, there are some good ways to loop the program. QBasic consists of 3 types of looping statements: for, next, do, loop, do while loop, do, loop, while, when. Where are they used? Here are some examples. In solving mathematical problems, where you have to print a list of numbers which are incremented steadily. In games, where you have to monitor continuously for keyboard input or mouse input. For next loop with step. The for next statement is used to repeat a block of instructions a specified number of times. The syntax is as follows. For counter is equal to start, to, end, step increment, block of instructions, next. In the for next statement, a block of instructions is executed a number of times. The value of the variable counter is incremented by 1 until it equals to the value of end. The variable counter by default increases by 1. You can change the rate at which the variable counter increments after each revolution by using the step parameter. Example 4. This program print integers from 1 to 10. Example 5. This program print odd numbers from 1 to 10. For next loop without step. This is the most common type of loop in QBasic. The for next loop is used when we know the exact number of times the loop has to be executed. Syntax. For counter is equal to start, to, end. Executable statements. Next counter. Here, counter is the counter variable. Example 6. To print, I am looping exactly 4 number of times. For I is equal to 1 to 4. Print, I am looping. Next, I. The letter I can be any other letter. See for example. It is actually a variable which changes its value each time the program loops. In this example, from 1 to 4. So if you make a program like this, example 7, for A is equal to 1 to 5. Print this loop number A. Next, A. Do loop. The do loop statement executes a block of instructions while or until a condition is true, either after do at the entry or after loop at the exit. It can be used in 2 ways, do while loop and do loop while. Do while loop. It repeats as long as the condition holds true. This loop is used when a condition is to be tested first and if it is true. Only then the statements in the body of the loop will be executed. Syntax. Do while loop. Do, while, until condition. Statement block. Loop. Structure of do while loop. The expression in the do while is evaluated as true or false. As long as the expression number -1 is true, the body of the loop is executed. If the expression is true, the statements in the loop's body are executed until loop is encountered. If the expression is false, control passes to the first statement after loop as if the block if and the select case. The body of a do loop consists of a statement block. Its boundaries are clearly marked by the keywords do and loop. The body of the loop in the sample contains 2 statements. Sum is equal to sum plus number. Input, enter the next number, I to quit, number. When loop is encountered, control passes back to the do while and the expression is checked again. If the expression is still true, the loop body is executed again. If false, the loop is exited. You may be wondering why this program contains 2 input statements. The first input reads the first number before the loop is entered. Input, enter the first number, I to quit, number. This is referred to as priming read and initializes number to a string value before the condition of the do while is evaluated for the first time. The second input is at the bottom of the loop and reads the subsequent numbers. Example 8. This program adds a list of positive integers. CLS, sum is equal to 0. Input, enter the first number, I to quit, number. Do while number, -1, at, sum is equal to sum plus number. Input, enter the text number, I to quit, number. Loop, print, the sum is sum, end. Program output, enter the first number, I to quit, 24. Enter the next number, I to quit, 18. Enter the next number, I to quit, 91. Enter the next number, I to quit, -1. The sum is 134. Do while loop. Do until loop is similar to the do while loop. The only difference between the two loops is that in the do until loop, the processing will continue as long as the condition is false. This is used to execute a function of instruction for a given number of times. Syntax: do until condition. Statements: loop. Example 9. A is equal to 1. Do until A is less than 3. Print A. A is equal to A plus 1. Loop. Print loop over. The output of the program is do loop while. This loop is a variation of the do while loop. This loop also repeats as long as the condition is true. In the do loop while, the body is executed first before checking the condition, and if the condition evaluates to be true, then it repeats the execution of the loop body. Syntax: do loop while. Do statement block. Loop while until condition. Example 10. I is equal to 5. Do print I. I is equal to I plus 1. Loop while I is smaller than 2. The output will be structure of do loop while. The structure of do loop while is as follows. It begins with a do statement. It ends with a loop while test condition statement. The loop while statement is used to signal the end of the loop, check for the condition, and if it is true, the control is transferred to the do statement. The statements that are to be repeatedly executed are written between the do and loop while statements. The do loop while is an exit controlled loop. That is, there is a check or control on the exit of the loop. The computer will execute the statements written between the do and loop while statements at least once and then check for the test condition. If the condition is true, only then will it move again to do and further execute the statements following do. On your own, find the output for the following code. WAP to print all even numbers from 1 to 100. CLS: A is equal to 2. B is equal to 1. Do. Print A. A is equal to 1 plus 2. B is equal to B plus 1. Loop while B is smaller than is equal to 50. End. While when loop. If the condition is true, the code following the while is executed. When the when command is executed, it returns control to the while statement where the condition is tested again. When the condition evaluates to false, control is passed to the statement following the when. Structure of a while when loop. Test condition is a numeric or string expression that evaluates whether true or false. Statements of loop is a set of one or more QBasic statements. The while statement always checks the condition before it begins the loop. Loop continues till the condition remains true. If test condition is true, all statements within the loop are executed until the when statement is encountered. Control then returns to the while statement and condition is checked again. If condition is still true, then the process is repeated. If the condition is false, then the loop statements are skipped and statement that appears after when statement is executed. Syntax: while condition is true, do this and this. When. Example 11. CLS: C is equal to 1 while C is smaller than is equal to 10. Print QBasic programming. C is equal to C plus 1 when end. The output of the program will be example 12. CLS: C is equal to 1 while C is smaller than is equal to 10. Print C is equal to C asterisk C. C is equal to C plus 1 when end. The output of the program will be nesting of loops. The nested loop is a loop within a loop, an inner loop within the body of an outer one. How this works is that the first pass of the outer loop triggers the inner loop, which executes to completion. Then the second pass of the outer loop triggers the inner loop again. This repeats until the outer loop finishes. Nested for next loop. For using nesting in for next loop in QBasic, you need to follow the following two steps. Every single loop must have a unique and different variable used for it. The next of an inner loop should be used before using next of an outer loop in that order. Example: CLS for I is equal to 1 to 5. Print this is outer loop for j is equal to 1 to 3. Print inner loop next j next I end. The output of the program will be example CLS for I is equal to 1 to 5 for j is equal to 1 to I. Print j next j print next I end. The output of the program will be as follows: nested while wend loop. For nesting while wend loop, you must endure that each wend statement in inner loop is followed by the most recent while loop of the inner loop. Example: I is equal to 1 while I is smaller than is equal to 4. J is equal to 1 while j is smaller than is equal to I. Print asterisk j is equal to j plus 1 wend print I is equal to I plus 1 wend. The output of the program will be quick recap. A statement that decides the order of the execution of the other statements is known as decision-making statements. QBasic allows the computer to make decisions: A. If-then statement, B. If-then-else statement, C. Go-to statement. If-then is a one-way decision-making statement that checks a condition and executes the statement after then if the result of the condition is true. If-then is called as the single alternative decision structure, and the if-then-else is also understood as the double decision structure. The go-to statement branches to a specific line number or to the first statement after a specified label. QBasic understands and executes the program correctly even if there are no line numbers. The do loop statement executes a block of instructions while or until a condition is true, either after do at the entry or after loop at the exit. The do loop while is an exit controlled loop, that is, there is a check or control on the exit of the loop. If the condition is true, the code following the while is executed. When the wend command is executed, it returns control to the while statement, where the condition is tested again.